He'll use all that money up because, I mean, one roll of, reflective tape is like $300.
Well, but I'm looking at the fact here we are end of August and you've already spent, you're at 28,000.
Yeah. Mhm.
30 if you cut it, if you have to put anything in
That's why I
the rest
said,
of the year.
we'll spend every dime of that, very
Okay,
easily.
Does that
It's-
include the signs for the bridge? Or is that outside, not in, for the railroad bridge where we have to put up the special signs? Is
And
that
he's gonna
included
make
out of
'em.
this budget, or we're,
He'll make them, but we're supposed to be being reimbursed by the, railroad.
Norfolk
but
Southern.
until we're reimbursed, we have to pay for them, so.
Yes, we do.
Does that
Yes.
come out of here?
This is next year's budget, it's gonna come
Could
out.
make a difference, if we may have to replace them next year, create new signs, I just wanna see,
If-
we're actually gonna go over budget then if we're creating them
Right.
this year.
What I could do is, if you want, we could go back 2 years from when he started to do these signs.
Yeah,
And if
That's
you
a
wanna
good idea.
increase this, I think we're gonna have to.
okay, well, why don't you go look
Yeah,
at that, what
and I'll
Xavier
check that one
produced
out.
and
You
what
could
we-
take a look at the numbers, because you're almost to the budget now
Right.
in August,
Mhm.
without creating special signs, which who knows what'll happen next year. And if you know you're on a replacement plan, take out, we know there's the particular percent of damage,
Sure.
percent, an average. But if you're on a replacement plan, you should have a pretty good replacement plan of what you're gonna do in 2015. What that should equal and what streets and stop
Mhm.
signs and.
Okay.
So we're asking for an estimate there, based on your history again and what you think is likely,
Okay.
and, anything else here?
No, so far we're okay, but we know about the increase in snow for
Yes.
salt.
Yes, I know.
That's put in place, that doubled.
Yes, we know,
The next will be parks.
okay?
What's the number?
Pardon?
What's going on with the number?
Oh, 203.
The 203
Yeah, I
number.
have
Yes, 203, 51, 15 is, he increased my
Yes,
part-timers,
yes.
which that's why I said if we could, initially, if I can have companies come in, I'm gonna look at that.
Okay.
And
Is
then with
27
additional kids.
That's all the
Does
part-timers?
27 cover the part-time?
Yes, that'll help me, if I can contract just Memorial, because Memorial's not, you're only talking
Right.
2 acres, compared to
Right.
400.
What about Sugar Bush itself, though?
And
That-
Sugar Bush,
Which we haven't been touching very much.
no, Sugar Bush is another,
Yeah, I'm just thinking
So
if
in
you're
this
going,
part-time salaries, it would add how many people, we put 27? Would you give you 1 or 2 for the summer, or is it
oh
year
no,
round?
but with 27,000, I could probably bring about eight kids.
Summer?
Sure.
We used to have several, so it'd be nice
Yeah.
to see us get back to where we used to be.
Mhm.
So it'd be 8 part-time summer folks.
Yeah, I could bring an eight and pay it. I would really like to advertise earlier and try to get college students.
okay?
A lot of
Well,
high
we'll
school
have
kids, we
plenty
have
of
a problem with because they can't
Well,
drive the vehicle.
Well, the
Right,
other
we talked
thing
about that
is-
Yeah.
last night,
Yeah.
so that we covered it for
Right.
you.
They'll
Oh,
leave in
okay.
August
Thank you.
anyhow for
You're
sports.
Yeah, we already discussed
Any
that.
football players are gone for sports in August, so you
Right.
guys.
You had
lucky
several
folks.
high school kids last year too.
Yeah.
They
Well,
couldn't
you
And
know,
they
do
left,
everything, but-
yeah, and they left right away
Yeah,
too.
I know,
Is the
or
requirement
they got
6,
injured.
Yeah,
Jim, is your requirement
I already know.
16?
we've brought in kids that were, 17.
But I mean, the requirement would be 16. with the
16,
driver's
but what
license.
happens when you hire 16-year-olds, we end up being babysitter. And I don't wanna sound cruel, but
Right.
that's what happens, because they can't drive our equipment. So that means my men are driving them around, taking them to where they have.
Well, that's what I'm saying, within your hiring process,
The hiring process, I'm gonna do a little bit
Say
different.
I want X, and you have to have a driver's license to be able to perform for it.
Right.
There are
They have
certain
to be
things
able
they
to be
can't drive
insured,
anyhow.
have to know how to run a weed whip. We've had kids that come in, they don't even know how to
They
start.
can't drive, can they drive the trucks without a CDL?
They could drive a pickup truck. They can't drive our dump stuff. They won't be allowed. Okay, so that takes me through the parks. And I did ask for some additional monies. I don't know, he might have put it in. Yes, he did. He gave me the additional monies. That's 203-5620.
Mhm.
He
Okay,
gave me an additional 10,000.
yes, I see.
And that's what I wanted to use for, I'd like to get the cannon while they're working on 82. It's gonna take the cannon off its moorings and have it sandblasted and repainted. That's around $2,000 of that money. And gazebo.
He's got 10,000 in here for the
Yeah,
gazebo.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
you want the gazebo to basically be rebuilt?
Yeah, not by us. My men, John, who's the bricklayer, will rebuild the caissons underneath.
I got it,
Brian will reroute the electrical so you don't see it.
okay.
And then I have a few actually historical contractors
Who can
to
work
come
on
in, who will do it,
sandblasting?
right, do it the right way.
Do it the
We're
right
gonna do
way.
that after 82's done, right?
Yes,
We're not gonna do it
or
before.
during, while they're doing their work, we can do this stuff too.
We can
Well,
take it down, but you wouldn't rebuild till they're totally done, right?
well, let me ask this
Who are
question.
your historical
I
contractors?
I just have, I have a list, I don't have them right now, and I didn't even have them come out and look at it yet. But I'd rather have historical contractors do something like that than our own man, because the
Make it
floor
look
needs to
like it
be
used
done,
to.
the steps, and a couple other things. See what they cost.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know what you meant by that.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
It almost sounds like people in the,
Oh,
they
yeah,
already
historic
know.
people or
Okay,
no?
let's
No.
make that one clear.
Yeah, they,
Abe Lincoln's
there
coming back to
are,
get that
Anymore,
gazebo.
there are contractors that
Okay.
actually do historical.
All right, I just
Restoration.
wanted you to make sure you cleared
Yeah.
up that statement.
All right,
Okay.
let me ask this question
Mhm.
about, this, of course, the whole right-of-way and the widening of 82 between Summer and, the Freeway Drive. That is affecting the park X amount.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of what, 10 feet or something, that's about it, just a little bit of.
Well, it's not large, I mean, whatever the lane width
Mhm.
would be, I would guess. We're adding another lane there, so that will then tear the sidewalk out, basically?
Half a lane on each side.
Okay, so either that or the sidewalk would be right on the street, one of the two.
Yeah, Nick probably knows a little bit more about that, but yeah, it's,
Is there anything planned in terms of, do we have to redo the sidewalk, what's the?
We'll find out as soon as that design buildable unit is
Okay,
submitted to the
it's
city.
not
Yeah,
submitted,
you are,
okay.
the designer.
Okay, well, we won't address it then until we get the buildable unit, because it doesn't make sense to try to guess, so, okay.
because, even like the canyon might be too close to the street too.
Well, I understand, there could be issues with placement in
Mhm.
general,
Right,
and so we just need to make sure that if we're gonna I would like Memorial Park to look sharp and look good, so.
right, oh, no, I agree with you a hundred
Yeah,
The
percent,
Parks
that's
and,
why I
the
wanna
Parks
do
and
that.
Rec Board have talked about it because we have planned, we had to put it on hold because of the first 82 widening. Then we had a plan, we put it on hold for the bridge widening. We have a plan, we put it on hold for this one, and so the Parks Board is revisiting with Jim
Mhm.
of, okay, we think there will be no more wait a minutes coming to us, so the Parks and Rec Board is dealing with it.
Okay.
Well, fundamentally, from what you're saying, you're planning to do the kinds of things that I would think, get a contractor in to do maintenance, that kind of thing. But, the timing of this will depend on the 82 widening, it sounds
Exactly,
like, in the
right.
build package, so we don't need to obsess that. All right, anything?
And with the discussion with the Parks and Rec Board and the layout of the plans and that we can see, does this meet it, or do we think we talked about the gazebo.
Mhm.
There were some other ideas and thoughts in there, we just need to finalize them,
Right,
that's all.
yeah.
82 would be last out of
Mhm.
everything, because the bridge has to be made 6 lanes wide.
Right,
Okay.
The bridge has to
So
be what?
82 will be last, we won't even see it next year.
well,
Is the extra lane going on the bridge, each side of the bridge?
The bridge will be widened to hold 6 lanes. As much
better than
as
8
6 lanes this way
It's
and
already-
this way.
you're talking the 271 overpass.
Yes.
Full, yeah.
They started chopping off the
Okay.
sides of the bridge.
And so that is the last part of the, is that the last part of the project?
Widening of 82 will be the last, that'll be.
Okay, so the park,
Yeah.
And last night we talked about
we
it.
probably don't even want to start, it doesn't impact the park, but the idea being is we wanted to be able to finish the park to
We
be
put all this in here.
entryway to the city with all
Because
this
I saw
stuff
some
done.
stuff in here that it's.
So we can start on demolishing, we can start on some of what, but we don't wanna finish it.
You don't really have a lot taken.
But you don't know that, just so you
Well, it's not gonna touch much, but it touches more alongside by these Girl Scout buildings.
see that he's added it in.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
This is a 5-year plan.
No,
let's let's,
No,
Did they give you the meeting
Leggy.
together?
we need to move along here, Jim,
Okay.
to try to keep it.
All right,
So there's a
um,
hole in
what's the next one I have?
the-
Custodial staff, bond, roof repairs.
That's in new.
We have the snow, actually, I'm getting into my, 401s.
Okay, well, let's go to,
What
are we doing now?
401,
Yeah.
5345. We're gonna do another $45,000 for heat pumps.
yes,
I'll take our whole.
let's look at their capital.
No, that doesn't take care of all of them. That gives,
I was
that's,
just showing on the.
to get them
capital.
all,
Can I
boy,
back
we're
up
looking
on a
at
quick one? You okay
six
for fuel
figures.
and parks and
He's
rec?
got 45 in here
Yeah.
for you right now.
We'll
No,
do,
wait, keep
last
going.
year with
Four.
30, we did,
Never mind,
we
we'll be
did
okay.
four-
We are
four
okay this year.
30, and then he's got 45 in here for
mhm,
you.
yeah, and
Right.
45,000 will probably, we'll be able to do maybe another 4 or
I
5.
understand.
Depends on the size of the unit.
Well, the units that you have in basically, you're having a priority order, I'm assuming?
Yeah, well, one of the units that we were gonna replace last year, we actually put in the, police department in the basement in the computer room,
Okay,
because, actually, we found a set of prints, and there was supposed to be a heat pump there. Because the computer room gets to be about 90 to 100 degrees down there, and if we don't keep it cool,
well, I,
we're gonna burn out this whole computer system.
okay,
So when we found that out, we actually put a heat pump in there to keep it cool. Now it stays down to about 60, 68.
no, well, it should, yes, a computer room should not be warm,
Yeah,
first
okay.
rule.
And they were using fans for the last 10 years, so.
Well, this should help, keep the equipment up and running, is it right?
Right, yeah,
Let's
so
talk
that was something we had
to,
to
all
do.
right, so the heat pumps you're talking about, do you have a group that,
Uh,
I know that
yeah,
Scott, you had requested 45,000,
Yes,
and Scott has this in the area of, things that we're talking about doing.
these are the actual units, 24, 26, 23, and 2.
Okay.
And where are
And
they
I-
located?
Those are located in the fire department. There's another, one, I think this unit that's right above you, that's always leaking.
This one here?
Is this
Yeah.
an overhaul for the electrical or an overhaul
This is just the heat pumps
for the,
for City Hall.
Right.
Just for City Hall, it's just heat pumps. That 45,000, that'll take care of an additional, we can't do it all at once, so if every year we do 4 or 5 units, that's, how we could do it without having a major cost.
does one burn out the other if I have an older one with a newer one?
That we would have to ask a
You know how that can.
heating and air
One
conditioning.
can't talk to two.
I could find that out for you. I don't think so, because I think they're so far apart, as far as the units. I think in the mayor's office, we replaced one in his office plus one that's right across the doorway. And then one almost, I think 30 feet down by the building department, so.
Okay,
But with the 45,000 will help us replace another 4 or 5.
I understand,
Okay.
that's what you requested, I saw
Right.
in your notes. Now, let's just go to your request on the capital area,
Mhm.
and, we've got, 140,000 in stormwater requests
Yes,
from you, and you wanna, talk to
I'm
that,
requesting that because
yes.
I
That's what
actually
we're talking about.
have a list here, probably the things I would like to do. If the 140,000 is in there to begin with,
Mhm.
I don't have to waste, this year we lost, I think, about almost 3 months because we had to make sure we had the money, and that's when we got the increased funds, the 82,000 and everything else that we could use. Plus the weather.
The weather, okay.
And the weather had a lot to do with
Right.
it also.
Okay.
But this year, what I'd like to do, in fact, I'm not even done, I think with Gloria and Eileen will be where we just have to do restorations
Right, I know.
in the spring.
Right.
We're putting the aprons in now. I'm gonna have contractors come out, give me a price for the asphalt. I'm gonna
Okay.
get 3 or
So
4
will the
quotes.
140 care for what you want to do in 2015? And can you give us a list?
Sure.
Not right now, you don't have to give
I
us
have it
this
right in
now,
front of me.
but send us the list that shows what that 140 will entail.
Yeah, what I intend on doing with it, yeah.
That'll work.
I have it here.
And that's
Just tell
only,
Oh, you want, first, I'm gonna finish my, doing the restorations at Eileen. That'll probably cost about $8,000, that's, I'm talking about the grass, that stuff. Broadway and Shepherd, I've been calling with the mayor from Glen Willow. There's a section that, you know, that we need to replace. There's about 155 feet of pipe and 2 major vaults that I'm gonna have to put in. So that's one project. Atterbury
you
Storm.
don't have to go down Florence though. Does it go up to Florence?
No, it's just, where, who the guy, I can't remember his name, lives over there, he's got a big house and an airplane and
Oh,
everything.
I know who they, yes.
Yeah, I think so, Paladino, you're right.
Maybe
So that's
it's-
Broadway and Shepherd.
Okay.
Right now, I have Atterbury, and you're familiar with
Yes, I'm
Atterbury. I have to
familiar with it.
reseal all the, about almost 200 feet of storm. And then I have about 130 some feet of sidewalk that I'd like to repair. Iroquois and Black Hawk. I revisited that, and I took a good look at everything. And we need to do some major repairs there, because, and also I'd like to look into dredging, Indian Creek. There are some spots that you can
We
just
haven't
walk
dredged
right
it
across.
in-
That's how much it narrowed down.
It's been
We
dredged
did it
a
about
long time ago.
maybe 19 years ago, 18 years ago, and we
And that should be
used,
done.
advanced excavating, we went back there with
Right.
this track road.
Because we were having problems down.
Well, every
lowlands.
19 years, you may need to do that. right?
But also, I just wanna mention this real quick, and I was gonna email Dave. The Department of Environmental Services wants to do a presentation at this next council meeting. He said it'd be about a PowerPoint, take 10 minutes, because of the work they're gonna do on, you know, in Indian Creek, we have 5 exposed sewer lines. And he's gonna give you a PowerPoint presentation on what they need to do there, if it's okay.
Sure.
And also, he would like to talk to us, the mayor, Nick, and I went and met with Mike Waite and Bob Hollis from the Department of Environmental Services. God bless you. They wanna work with us to maybe we could do something with that culvert on Sioux, by Sioux and Crow,
I see.
the one that's starting to collapse now.
Can we do something about the pipe out of Guadalupe that floods all the way down Berkshire to Crow? Please.
That's,
It's never been built.
But-
This pipe's gonna get fixed.
okay,
Okay.
yeah, it's
It
something
just
that they're
floods
gonna work with us on, and they wanna
two
work with us
streets.
on, the mayor, like I said. I also have, the culverts on North Bedford, north of Ledge, okay?
Oh, yeah.
The catch basins throughout the city, there's 93 of them that I know that need,
Are
attention.
you talking about replacing the grates or doing,
No,
No,
repairing,
replacing, doing that?
yeah, you
So
have
we
to
got a lot of
repair.
broken grates
Right.
again, they're just,
Broken grates, and because they're broken is because of the foundation underneath.
right.
So we'll have to do that. I wanna do additional crossover pipes. I'm trying to get as much as we can. We should be able to get an earlier start this year if the money's there.
Mhm.
And I also have culvert pipes that are on the waiting list that I wanna get done also. So I just wanna get into this as quickly as possible.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna say,
Mhm.
Jim, on all of this,
Mhm.
is, I know you have a list.
Sure.
What I wanna see is the priority on that list, and I
Okay.
also wanna get an estimate of cost for each of the major items on your list, so that we can make choices that are rational, fitting it into the larger picture. And, we do have continuing stormwater issues, and we need to address the priority issues.
But I think that's a
That's,
combination.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go on that, well,
Yes.
as you saw, I mean, they just pop up.
I get it.
The plan right now is to fund the whole
Yeah.
140.
Right,
Right.
I would like to have
That's
that,
what
yes.
you're interested in, that's
Yes,
the
sir.
plan right now, unless something changes.
And then,
Yeah.
when you talk about the stormwater plan with the 140, does that include the original plan that we put together 5 or
doesn't
6
sound
years
like
ago?
it.
Does
No.
that take these parts, or is this all just
No.
fixing
This is
issues?
fixing up as well.
This is strictly for me to repair things.
Does this include cleaning all retention basins, such as the
No,
one up
that,
at?
Nick and Mike are, did
They
that.
get so confused who does what, because I know we've got Ledgeview's retention
This is a
basins.
similar plan I did,
Yeah.
2007 is when we last did it. And this is what I did, I went to every catch basin, cleaned them and reported what condition they were in. But, they're gonna do a more modern version, if they get
Okay.
what they
Well, I
want to
kinda
do.
like the drawing.
Well, this, as I said, the thing we need
Right.
from you, the list and priority.
Priority and cost.
And cost, thank you. And let's,
Okay, and then, street repairs, I would like to, we did get the bids for the 65,000 for full depth.
mhm,
I have legislation coming Thursday, and then they'll start doing those.
okay,
I'd like to raise it to 100,000 and maybe do even more.
okay.
For
Well, I
next
think,
year.
well, that's what it's showing in here, actually.
Right,
Full depth of
100,000.
100,000.
And then can you do the same thing, just give us a list of what you think you can get done out of
Yeah,
the 100?
I sent Sylvia a list
Yeah,
of
I have it, I got
Yes,
this
the
every
afternoon.
streets we're
I'll
looking
send
at
it to
now.
everybody, so there's.
Yeah.
If you can get it to all of us, because that way then, you know, the residents really wanna
Sure.
know, maybe you can
And then
actually
I'll
put
do a
in
similar list again,
the newsletter.
and go out again and make a bigger list, and then we'll run off of that for our bids.
Okay,
Because those people aren't real thrilled just with the white lines.
I'm
Gotta
also,
quit running that neighborhood.
for the road materials, I asked for 50,000 to do some more, crack sealing.
yes,
I can get more done in the newer neighborhoods because the streets aren't as bad.
correct.
Because in the Crow area, we're actually to the point where, you're gonna have to probably, just grind them down and resurface them. Cause I got a price just to do Crow, to crack seal it was 45,000. So, that tells you it's too far gone. So, but this can help me get, like a whole olive lake forest. I could, like, right now, with the extra money we had left over, I did almost all of Rolling Hills. So this is what I'd like to do, go into our new neighborhoods and get them all sealed.
The ones you can
And I
save.
will get a contractor to just come in and let's do it,
Yeah, that's,
okay?
right.
Because that way we're not taking away 4 or 5 men, you know, I
Yeah,
can get
that's,
into these other things.
That's
Um,
not productive, right.
Striping, I'd like to get the additional money to do the second half of the city.
We have to do that by law, we have to have things striped so you can
Right,
see them.
right.
So are we on every year we do half, so that we do
That's,
this
we're
part
on
of
a
it?
2-year,
Okay.
cycle. We got away from it for a little bit, but, he just finished this last contract. He's not quite done, he still has some crossbars to do because of the rain held him up.
So the question would be, would we need 85 next year, and then the number would be potentially lower for 16, but then it should stay static
This
except
year-
for
This
traditional
year's spread,
increase.
just for half, went from 141,000 all the way down to 55. So I mean, that's the difference of when we send it out for bid, what kind of price we're gonna get.
But it's
But at least if
something
we have all the money there, we get, whatever the bids may be, we're covered.
that we have to do.
Pardon?
This isn't a nice to do, this is, you gotta do.
Yeah,
Obviously, it was nice to do previously, but we didn't. do
Yeah.
it.
It's never been nice to do, it's just
Okay.
we did what we could with the dollars and that.
This
And
wasn't even
we
done
did
with
talk about the new
Yes.
system, this is
Right
it here, if you want copies
Yeah,
of it or
I
whatever.
do.
Okay.
20K,
Okay,
Why
I'll
don't you
make
just-
copies of that.
I tell you what, if you have this electronically, you could just send it to us.
Okay,
Okay.
I do have it on my computer.
Right.
Also, at the park, things that we need to do, the score tower, all the refrigeration units, they're done. They don't work anymore. In fact, one of them, we just took it out of there.
Out
This
of
is the-
Longwood you're talking about.
Yes,
Mhm.
Longwood Park, the score tower, and you're probably looking for all new $4,800. Will get us an ice machine and a refrigerator.
the electrical's fine though, right? It
Pardon?
wasn't the electrical, it's just the age of the
It
equipment.
was the equipment, yeah.
Okay, have we talked to NHA about potentially, because they're truly the
No,
ones who
we
use.
could if you want.
Aren't they the ones who traditionally use that the most?
They do,
Yes.
but they pay a fee to do that,
Okay, I
so
thought maybe they'd be kind enough to donate,
possibly.
we could ask them.
And then, one more item, our sign shop needs a new printer. It's $15,000. We had to get a new computer, and the new computer doesn't work too well with the old printer, so we have to update. This will be a better printer, will work faster.
Yeah, I see this on
cut
the
better.
price list.
And also, what's good about this is that We were checking .gov, and similar units like we have now have been selling for around 10,000. So we feel that maybe if we put it on .gov, we can get
We
some
can
of our
get money and
back.
then we
Right.
can, it will be not totally
15,000, it
right.
might only be, you know.
a
if we
third
get
of that
lucky-
or
Right.
half.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can cut it in half.
All right, well, let's look at that.
Okay, and I have that here if you want me to.
Yeah, you can.
Send you that,
Yes,
too.
right.
Okay.
Send it.
And last but not least, we know all about our lights and what's happening there.
Mhm.
I just got in fact, the next meeting I have, I'm going to see if anyone wants to be involved in it, because it's pretty interesting, the money that we can actually save. I had Lef come in with our electrician, and we went from 2 previous ones that were at 600-some thousand to do all our buildings, down to where Lef, and this is all high-quality fixtures and lighting, rec center and this building, inside and out, putting new heads on all the outside lighting, about 263,000 if our
You didn't put
electrician
that on
was.
your list here, right?
No, this is something else that I have to look at,
Okay.
and
Yeah, we
we
need to
really
get-
need to sit down and look at it.
Right, I
How
think,
much did you, what was the price?
Left was 263,000.
What's the advantage of replacing all the light heads?
We could cut our costs in half.
It's energy
They're estimating,
Yeah.
right now, if it's 70-some thousand, we'll cut it down to where our actual cost would only be 47,000.
For the electric
For
bill?
electric
Yeah.
bill. We can cut it literally in half.
so we'd have a 10-year payback.
Yeah, no, what they're telling me, actually, and they finance it too, is the money that you save on paying the bill,
Yeah,
you pay to them.
General Assembly
And,
grants,
you know,
grants and
okay,
stuff.
in other words, that's, you finance it
We need to
and
do
then
that.
you,
what you save on your electric
Maybe
bill,
we
I
to
see.
make your finance.
okay.
Okay. So that's something, but that's not on my list, because it's things that have to be.
Well, again, if
looked
you
at.
want us to look at it in more detail, then you need to provide us estimates, and you need to provide, if there could be a phasing of this, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
and how much, if we could go over a 4-year period phasing, what it would be, that kind of thing.
Talking to my electrician,
Yeah.
we would like to finish the rec center, because we've done it quite a bit already.
Okay, well, that would be one phase, the rec
Right,
center, and this would be the
then
other.
come here would be the next, and
Okay.
then do one floor at a time.
Okay,
But
Good.
We talked
But in the
about
roads.
that because there's potential
Yes,
of.
but the only thing that's
Assistance,
only till the end of December.
no.
okay, well, then that is not next year,
Only
that's
till
for
the
sure.
end of December.
Okay,
According
There's
to,
more, no.
well, there's other avenues, but for some of the rebates right now, it's,
But let's talk, because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
gonna be some before the
Sure.
General Assembly of NOPEC.
yeah, there's other things that
That may
are
do
coming
a
up,
period.
sure.
And it's also, it's not just electrical, it's the entire
Right.
energy efficiency
Mhm.
and working with governments and helping them become more energy efficient and sustain all of them.
Well, next time I have a meeting, in fact, I told them I would like to have maybe some council members there, so they can get an idea of what they're talking about, because it's
Yeah.
very
My
vast.
bet is you could maybe have, we could talk to Chuck Piper.
all right,
Sure.
let's, we've got a whole series of lists from you, hopefully.
Yes, I have everything, I'm gonna
Okay, why don't you
send
send
you all this
us,
stuff.
send me an email with
Mhm.
what your,
This is far too long.
what you've got so
Mhm.
far and what your tasks are, so that we can make sure we're checking you off on all these tasks and when you're getting them back. So thank you.
Also, all of us, please.
Oh, yeah, I will scan everything and send it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have building and engineering, we're running a little bit over at this point, but a lot with them. There we go.
Make sure you go down number, please, because we have some.
Magic water or?
Oh, this is even better.
Oh, okay. What was I asking for?
Okay, and there should be another one?
Yes, it's right ahead of you.
She's got,
Okay?
Okay, all right.
She doesn't.
This is the sheet that we gave to Scott.
Yes, it's actually in the book here, so I know that.
So we're not asking for any additional money in my operating at all. We moved
Right.
money around where I'm taking some money out of architectural and engineering and moving it up to part-time salaries, because the big jobs are under construction right now, that I, anticipated we're gonna be doing a lot of inspections.
This
and
is all the 101, 180 items, correct?
That's correct. So I'm anticipating more inspections and more paperwork, and I add a little bit of money in for part-time salaries. Janelle works for me part-time, she does some planning. If it's a possibility of having her or somebody else help out with some of the records requests, that would be great. The 2015 capital request for building would be, once again, the scanning of all of the materials. We got a price last year that was in the 90,000 range. It would be 100,000 to scan everything in, but ultimately I think we'd be saving some money, because I wouldn't have to put it in the part-time salaries. Because when you get a records request, you could just pretty much send it, and it would have the attached drawings, it would have everything for that address included.
this
So I wouldn't have to be looking it up and making copies, sending them out to City Blue or having GPD.
So this is back
Reproduce
to
them.
getting a scanner?
Yes,
Is
well,
it-
and it's not just a scanner, this would be a company come in, scan all your files in, and then they would keep the database on it, and we would have access to it. If we were to get a scanner, we would have to upgrade our server
So
to
if
handle
we
them.
do the service, then we'd have a yearly continuation.
You'd have approximately $3,000 to $5,000 of updating, and I don't think it would even be that much, because what we would do is we would request all contractors to send their drawings in electronically from that point.
And this still
That way.
meets the public record request requirements, which is
Yes.
outsourced.
Yes.
Could you break this up and do it over a number of years? I mean, 100,000 is a big.
We could certainly, however, you guys would wanna break it
Yeah.
up, the ultimate goal is to get it done eventually. So,
Right.
But I think the 100,000 nuts is when you look at that, you look at a road, which is more important than
Right.
Absolutely.
the road.
Oh, yeah, we can break it up, 20,000 a year over the next 5 years and come up with a plan.
And we can, yes, and we can go basically from current and then back one, because that way, the more, I know that in the commercial side, you're gonna have to keep it forever, so
Right.
eventually it's all gonna have to be done. But in the houses, you're not actually even talking about residential here at this point.
Residential, the only thing that you're gonna keep on there is topographic drawings, which would fall under engineering.
Right.
Residential homes, we destroy after 3 years, so.
So you wouldn't even,
Why do you destroy them?
That's code, and then that's the records policy for the state of Ohio to destroy them after 3 years. We can, we keep zoning forever, we keep commercial properties forever. Residential, actually, the code says 1 year, but the state of Ohio makes us keep it 3 years. What we do is we try to give the homeowner their drawings at the time of occupancy. We ask, do you want your drawings, because we have an extra set. And that way, if there's any changes or additions, they can work off of those.
so these are primarily for our properties that are
Commercial and
commercial
engineering.
and engineering, okay. So, yes, I think a phasing would be, talking with whomever you think is, and looking at from a sourcing standpoint, get 3 sources and let them know that,
I'd probably go out for bid for it, because the ultimate
Yeah.
is up over 50,000, so I would go out for bid and try to get.
see
the
what,
best
if
price.
we can create a phasing plan and ask them what they would like to do with it.
That'd be fun.
Okay,
The next sheet is the 5-year capital plan. We put this year's roads in the next year's and
Mhm.
carrying over the money. We had 2 additional roads on here,
three, I think.
which is Brookdale and Meadowlawn.
Richard
next-
and Meadowlawn,
Yeah.
Brookdale and Blueberry.
So we were looking at, well, we might be able to stretch this money further. We have recycle and repave on these roads, but when we looked into the cores on Westwood, we were surprised to find out that there's 12 inches of asphalt in that area. That surprised Nick and I, still puzzled on the failure there. Once we get into it, we'll know, but if we've got any, even, 8 inches on the other streets, in the B streets, we can do something other than recycle and repave. We could mill
Was
out.
the course throughout the road, or was it variations in the thickness of the pavement?
No, that was throughout the road.
Wow, that's
So what Nick and I were just, we're talking about is if we can take this, roughly 500,000 for these B streets, we could probably get the rest of the B streets done next year if we do,
If you're,
mill and fill.
if you can do a
Right.
mill and fill as opposed to a recycle repave.
We're looking at, but the problem with that,
Does that get rid of what they have and make it look new?
yeah, you'd mill out what they have, and
That's
then,
what they
then you
have
would go
is-
down and you do full depth and partial depth repairs, and then you would top it back over with new asphalt and 2 layers. You do, leveling course and do a surface course. That would finish up the B streets. The only thing that we would ask for this year to see if we're able to do
2015.
that, well, we're asking this year would be to go out and core those streets, and we're looking for about 10 to 15,000 this year to send a company out
Right,
and
if
core
we
all
can
those
afford it.
streets.
We can.
For all of the B streets?
Yes, and then we could say,
Or
yeah,
like
we
those,
can
yeah.
do this or we can't do it.
What
You
does
know,
core do?
We'll
Just-
drill the pavement and analyze it and show us what we have. As
You
far
do
as
that in the
pavement
middle,
thickness.
where do you do that?
You do them in various locations. You do some at the edge, some at the center, and you stagger them, so you get a random
Because some of them
representation.
have no place to core.
Right.
I hate to talk.
As you're going through the shoulder.
Yeah, some of
Those
them
are, those are the easy.
I think we have a
Some could
bucket
be
of rocks
fixed.
we can go
Dirt
get.
roads, but
Right.
Okay, I get what you're saying. You're thinking that this core is gonna have to be done anyway.
It will, yeah.
And so what you're saying is if we can get a fairly large sampling of the core in the B streets, we may be able to do mill and fill versus recycle repave,
Right.
therefore
And
do
you can
many
do more
more.
roads. It's about 10, just estimating for all these roads right here, 10 to 15,000 for all the cores, all the streets.
that is a good plan. Would you have to do it no matter what, before you decide what to do next year? So you need to do it this year and put the plan together for next year, or you wait and it just delays?
All it's doing is showing you what's in there, so it's gonna, it's almost like you're looking in the past to see what they did to put that road together, so
Exactly.
it'll last forever, even if you don't get to the next year, you
You
still
still
have
have that
next
data.
year.
But if you do it, you still have to do it, but what it does is it delays the project, because you gotta do that first,
Right.
Right.
figure out what it is,
Right,
and then
if you
decide.
do it in
what
advance, right, it's gonna ask for it.
So it'd be nice to do it this year, have a plan and know what you're bidding on.
Okay, so you're saying that you think that this sampling plan would involve, and what do? We contract somebody to come in and sample? Is that
Yeah,
the idea?
we'd hire a testing company to come in and.
Okay,
sample.
and do we go out and ask for 3 quotes, or what are we doing?
We would get 3 quotes.
Okay, then that sounds reasonable. That needs to be brought forward in a separate, it's really not this budget, it's next year, or this is next year's budget. But if you want that 15,000 this year, which I think is doable, from what I'm seeing in the numbers that we're getting,
Yeah,
that you just need to put it together, and then we need to have adjustments.
To get
That'd be
the
fine.
legislative-
If you do those for 28.
Talk to that guy.
that'd be good, that we can narrow down what
Yeah,
we're
talk
gonna
to
do.
that guy over there and see if it would suit us to make it good for you.
Okay.
The next set is the major capital roadway. We've got the Route 82 money in there, the Route 82 Phase 1 for the resurfacing portion in there, the administration costs, the ramp loop relocation, that money is shown in there with the SIB loan.
Yeah, that's the civil one.
Yes. The future one that we're going for is shown here, just future funding applications in that next section. Some of the jobs that we're looking for, Valley View Road resurfacing, Highland Road resurfacing, East Highland and Valley View Road intersection, citywide signals, Twinsburg Road, those are just ones that we're trying to get funding on.
Based, I do have a question on the phase 3 widening that we are planning for the Shepherd Road area and
Goes from Alexandria
up
to
to,
the east.
up to Twinsburg. Now, the 470 is the number that we received in terms of the cost to do that. And I know we went for a grant in that area. What is the status of the grant? That he was gonna cut it by about 50%.
Right, we haven't received anything as of
No.
yet, but.
No, and when we do receive that, the city will have to decide if you accept that, then you can't bid the project and sell it in January.
We'd have to
You have
push
to
it
just-
back a few months.
Okay, well, the question for you, because it would save $240,000, when are they anticipating
We should know sometime in November, I believe. before
Okay,
the-
so that's before the final version, okay. All right, then what we ought to do is to make sure that we know what our choices are at that point, and, because that's a lot of money.
Right.
If we can save $240,000, that's money that can be reallocated to other areas. And
Is that included in phase three, because I don't remember the plans, is that update the Shepherd Road intersection?
Yeah, phase three tears out that whole intersection, the widening stops east of the
Doesn't
intersection.
put a,
A signal, and culverts, curb pavement.
okay, it needs a
Site distance.
turning lane,
It gets
it needs a
reprofiled,
turning lane
yeah.
off of Shepherd
That was a
back.
big issue.
People are driving 50 down Shepherd in the morning, and when they come there, they're slamming on the brakes, and then they gotta wait to turn left from Shepherd down to 82. And it's just danger.
Well, yeah, there's some very strange behavior in that particular corner. Now, I understood that we were gonna make stormwater adjustments also as part of the phase, and so that's the total plan, and our portion of it will be $240 if we get the grant, and it'll be $470 if we don't, basically. Okay.
But of course, forget his Twinsburg, I know they have never said they were gonna finish. Had they come back to say they'll do their part from the corporate line to Chamberlain, so they're gonna still leave. Okay.
So the next section would be stormwater. That 140 that Scott put in there is basically what you see here. Culvert replacement program, stormwater maintenance, the annual phase 2 compliance for 35, and then there's a $5,000, stormwater mapping is gonna be completed this year.
Yes.
But we're putting a $5,000 in because you're going to have changes every year to that map.
Okay, so you wanna do, this is part of an annual adjustment that you'd like to do?
For the EPA phase 2, that's
Right.
gonna be a requirement, so
Okay,
that money's gonna have to be in there.
all right.
We put Our Lady of Guadalupe detention basin in for $230,000.
Yeah, that's been the original list.
Where's that go? It doesn't go out of Guadalupe's property, does it? It goes on my
In the
neighbor's
At the
property,
back end,
doesn't it?
in the back end of the property,
Yeah.
off the park.
That's county purchasing the property on that too.
Their property or his property?
Their property.
It's all the
Is
church.
it, the water lets out on his property,
Right, we'd catch it.
We can-
so they still own right below the pipe, even though the pipe goes this way.
Yes,
Okay.
Well, the basin would go on the
And
Guadalupe
they're gonna
property.
take,
yes.
Right. So,
well, the pipe ends at the Guadalupe property and just spits out.
well, at this point, yeah, because they don't have
So you're
it.
gonna take that pipe up and put the retention basis on
We'd
their
route
property?
all the drainage through the basin.
And get rid of that. Pipe that- So all the pipe that they put underneath the parking lot and all that will now go into a retention
Into a
basin
basin,
instead
into
of
the
down the
basin.
street.
Now, have we,
And we don't need to lose trees, cause that's all field up there.
at one point, there was a discussion of having an easement on their property to place this detention area. And has anybody followed up and spoken with them about that? or-
We did at one time, with the mayor, just with, I think they were asking us some high prices, and back at that point, we didn't have the money in the budget to do anything
That goes
with it.
back years.
Okay, so
You can buy mine.
what were they suggesting in terms of what they would require us to pay them?
Boy, I'd have to take a look back.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, so
Okay, well,
maybe 4 or 5 years ago already. Back when we had, 2006, when we had the stormwater
Yeah.
committee.
We were
So
trying to figure
that's
out how to fix it.
Well-
8 years ago.
frankly, this should have been done as part of that plan that they originally did to put that parking lot in.
They
And was
refused.
not,
Yeah,
because,
they
They,
refused.
yeah,
well, if they refused, we should have required it, because that was just not acceptable to do
Done
what was,
wrong.
it was done wrong, yeah.
We lost a lot of trees, and that poor little Jean has put in probably
Wow.
50,000 or more
yeah,
in his
he
house.
has.
Right, there's property owners
All
that
the way
really
down
got
to Berkshire.
damaged by that, yes. Okay,
All the way down to the small.
So the retention basin will be on top of the hill behind my
long,
house.
Longbrook, all of those got messed up because of this, the failure to do what we should have done originally, right.
So I've got Shepherd Road sanitary sewer assessment. This was a project that was approved through council. We're asking for 10,000 administrative to get that going. And then, Nick, you could explain the last one. This is a pavement management system. It's 18,000. you wanna go ahead and explain what that is?
I mean, so we talk about this usually once a year, and that would produce, in accordance with the way ODOT in the counties rank their pavement systems. It would account for every centerline mile of pavement that you have. And you'd go through and you'd inspect them all and you'd rank them, and it would rank your streets from 0 to 100. The benefit of it is you have a system of identifying where your needs are and choosing which roads you're gonna do and taking, the politics, if you will, out of the equation. It'll basically give you an inventory of all your roads and what the ranks and the statuses are. It'll help you identify corrective measures for different types of pavements.
Now, is this I know there was a county program to do this.
Same
You're
thing.
plugging into that program, or this is a separate thing?
No, this would be if you did it on your own.
Okay, and have we talked to the county about their program? I know that a number of cities and townships have participated in that. I'm just curious as to what the cost comparison would be in doing this. So just let us know.
I mean, I've talked to Bruno about,
Uh-huh.
and had lunch with him and went over some items with him, but he's never given me any formal numbers for just.
Well, why don't we just ask, and then, ask them to give us an idea?
Well, so the county they subcontract that out to consultants.
I know that.
And I think they're usually, depending on your pavement systems, it's anywhere from $200 to $300 a mile.
Right.
So we still pay.
Yeah, you're still
Oh,
gonna
we
pay.
have to pay for it.
Right, you still have to pay for it.
I'm just saying, if we
Right.
participate in the county program, what would be the pricing?
And it would depend on, who they
Right.
hire as their consultant.
So-
What do my county taxes do? Why can't that be included in the taxes? Oh, I see.
Wrong budget.
Yeah,
But
wrong
if
budget
we're
meeting.
trying to
Yeah.
save
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
why doesn't the county pay it?
Right.
Maintenance.
Because
I've seen
this
their work.
is a plan that they have
Right.
organized, but that the participation is that everyone contributes X amount. And my only question was really, I understand what this idea is, it's a very good one, because we do need to understand what our regular cycle should be in terms of our roads. And this is a good way to scientifically know that. So what I think I would like you to do is to talk with the county about and then compare it to this and just give us an email to the council on that issue, okay? Okay, and that's the last one on this page as far as I'm
Anything,
concerned.
is Florence going to sewers, or are they being left to septics?
Right now, they're on
Right now, they're on
septic.
I know, and they just went through the whole county assessment and that, and there was discussion, and I didn't know if we were going to, with Shepherd, that way is still not fully done. Is that part of this?
No, this Shepherd that's on this list is the southern end of Shepherd
Okay.
at Highland
And
Road.
they haven't come to us yet to force the hand on the north yet.
No, they have not. In fact, I just talked to some people recently about that, and there's still the response out of the management from Summit County is that we really, we're not going to require people to switch out of septic, but if you can connect to that sewer point that's right next to Park Lodge, if you're close to that, and you come back for septic, they're gonna require you to at least connect.
Well, we don't have a wood place to connect.
Right, well, there is one at Park Lodge there.
Okay, so it's only the south. No, we don't have anything that far.
Right,
north.
okay. All right, gentlemen, I would also like you to look at this in terms of your requests, in terms of priority. So if you could provide that, I know that we obviously, from our standpoint, I think we've said this in the past year, that we want to see the roads attacked from several angles, and certainly even that pavement management system idea, I think, has merit because of the fact that we do need to have an overall long-term plan.
And just to throw it out there, that pavement management system, if you do the pull,
That's CBD and.
if you do pull the trigger on that,
Mm-hmm.
based on a city of your size, we certainly get it
There
done.
was one line
in
item
2 months'
that.
time.
It's
So
not
you
just-
could, feasibly, you could have it in place
No.
for the 2015
No.
program,
Wow.
to utilize it for.
One was.
Okay, we'll have a look and
There
more
was,
to come.
there was just one item that was
Okay.
missed, I think. It was
Okay.
just a clerical error.
All right, 180.
11180, 5650 was the fuel for engineering department. We have $1,200 in that.
Uh-huh.
We had one vehicle that, this last year that we used almost the whole 1,200, and this year we have 2 vehicles, so
Okay,
we went back to getting 2, so we're gonna have to.
What
increase
number
it.
is
But
that,
It's
Mike?
gotta go to 2,400.
Oh, you're right, you did miss that.
It is, 5650.
101, 180, 5650.
Yeah, I just need another 1,200 in that line item.
I see, you basically want that line item doubled.
Right.
God forbid the gas keeps
Well, and
going
then-
down, that's the other thing,
Yeah.
Well, the good news is, it seems to be going mostly down.
right now,
The truck's gonna eat a
no
lot
weather
too,
changes,
so,
101.
250.
So you wanna have 2,400 total. Okay. And that's based on having 2 vehicles, or is one?
Yep, I got one of the old, service department vehicles, the engine was blown, we put a new engine into it.
Oh, we did, huh?
That's what I've got.
And this is highly fuel efficient, no doubt. It
Yeah.
runs on natural gas or something.
Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
CNG.
Uh-huh, right. Okay, and that's it, gentlemen. Okay, thank you for the input. We are into Parks and Rec, Angela. Come on down. 201, 200 number here. 204, excuse me.
Start with 204.
Okay,
Scott and I had a few discussions. The parks portion, this is parks, programming, it's 204, 204.
yes.
That's what I'm looking at.
You're looking at 204, 204, good?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll start
That
there.
portion of 204 is parks programming,
Okay,
which we did not need any major changes. We came under in a lot of our programming,
Right.
such as day camp, soccer, those types of events.
okay,
I don't see that there were any increases in, he was gonna look at, things like pension, hospitalization, workers' comp. It seems like all those have stayed pretty
pretty
status
constant,
quo.
yeah,
There are no increases in wages, and I thought he went across the board and did a percentage.
right.
That he did not do that in 204 or 205.
Okay, I'll check that.
The only item that, for this fund that I would bring forward is we have 204, 204, 5618.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6,000 budgeted in there. That is what we use for, items that we purchase for outdoor park special events.
Yes.
So movie in the park, light rentals, porta-johns, Easter eggs for the Easter egg hunt,
Mhm, yeah.
all of those types of things. That's what that money is used for.
Right.
If council were to wish to host more community events, we would need that number increased.
I understand.
So if we
far-
want
What's a
more
good number,
concerts, I'd say even if that was doubled, we could do quite a few more events,
112?
yeah.
Why don't you give us a list of things that you'd like to increase,
Okay.
all right, Angela? And then we can then decide whether that's something important to do.
We can do that. That would just include various outdoor community
I
events,
understand what you're
concerts, that
saying,
type of thing.
just put together a proposal so we
Sure.
know what we're talking about, okay.
Moving on to the next fund, 205, 207, which is right underneath that, that is the rec center.
Okay.
Again, that those,
Yeah,
numbers
Yeah,
have not been
I will.
increased.
I will check that.
I did also have a discussion with him on 4 of these line items because, coming towards the end of the year, I do need to make some transfers, which we were supposed to meet to have on the next council agenda.
Okay,
And I wanted those transfers included, like reflected in next year's budget,